Legends, welcome back to another episode of the Ruck Infringement Podcast. As always, you're here with Joey. Joining me today is Craig. Craig, welcome back. How are you?
Thanks, Joey. Good to be back, mate.
It's always good to have you. And on our special guest interview today is none other than the wonderful Kevin Campion. Kevin, how you going?
I'm good, boys. Thank you for having me. It's appreciated.
Mate, it is our pleasure. All right, Kevin, let's get straight into it. For those who don't know who you are, can you introduce yourself and who you played for?
Mate, I played for 1,000 clubs, to tell you the truth. Mate, I'm from a little town just south of Mackay in North Queensland called Serena. I'm not sure if you've heard of the place, but over the years, there's been some tremendous players come out of that area, that region, but especially Serena. The likes of Martin Balladale, Shearer, Wendell Sala, myself, and Darley Cherry Evans, and the latest is Reuben Cotter, who's just he's from a little cattle farm just down the road near Kamala. So yeah, look, it's I started playing there in under 10s for the Serena Crocodiles, and worked my way right through the grades. Played A grade. Was lucky enough to get selected for Mackay in the Foley Shield competition, playing against teams like Mount Isa, Cairns, Townsville, Innisfail, and all those teams. So, mate, basically got spotted after playing in the Foley Shield Grand Final in 1991, playing for Mackay. We beat Cairns, and they got a few trials. So we got a trial down in Western Suburbs. So I jumped on a plane from Mackay and flew to Sydney, and made the squad. Which was it was fun at the time. It was just an open trial, and there was like 1,000 trials on over Saturday and Sunday, and yeah, it was pretty hardcore, to tell you the truth. But while I was planning to move to Sydney to play for the Western Suburbs, I got a call from a great friend in Mackay, Butch McCall, who knew Grant Bell, and he knew that he was going to the Gold Coast Seagulls, and Belly wanted me to come and trial there. So instead of going to Sydney, which was probably a blessing in disguise, I trialled at the Gold Coast Seagulls, and and stayed there for the next 4 years, and had a tremendous time. Yeah, we've all got some great stories, but most of my great stories are from that time, from 92 to 1995.
Yeah, I love that, mate. The Seagulls obviously not around anymore. We do have the Titans, but for us that remember the early 90s, it was a great club and some great heritage there. But let's jump into a fun question to start with. Now, I know you've played for a few clubs, but who was the funniest teammate that you played with?
Oh, look, I've had some funny teammates. Like you played with blokes like Alfie and Kevy and those types of guys. But probably the funniest guy that I ever played with, who still harasses me to this day. Only a couple of weeks ago, he got me again. But Nathan Wood, I played played 1 year with him over in New Zealand. But it was one of the best years that I've ever had playing rugby league. And Natty Woods was a real big part of that success in 2001 at the Warriors. Just a funny man, but he was always on. I'll tell you, like, just a story. Just we go to Bali every year with great mates Jamie Goddard. Anyway, we're over there only a month ago, and I just put on Facebook that I was over in Bali and catching up with a great couple of mates, and I get this message from Natty Woods saying, "Mate, you wouldn't believe it," and I was staying at Legion at the time. "You wouldn't believe it, mate. I'm just down the road in Seminyak. I'm at the W, mate. Come out with me tonight. I've got the top floor pool garden.
Yeah, wow.
I've got a 4-hour drink package, and mate, there's heaps of people here. And you just come to the door, tell them I'm, I've invited you, and just come upstairs and start drinking. Let's have a great time." And I said to Jimmy, I said, "Mate, oh, let's just get on the bikes and go. And we had a skinful, and we were probably not in the best way to ride the bikes up to Seminyak, even though it was it's only a 10-minute bloody scoot.
Yeah.
Anyway, we decided to just stay on at the Y Bar and keep drinking there. Anyway, I get a message from him the next day from Natty Woods. I said, "Oh, mate, you missed a great night last night. Great. There was heaps of girls there, and mate, you would have had a blinder." And I said to Jimmy, "Mate, we got to go and catch up with him at least." Anyway, cut a long story short, he's not even in Bali. So he's in Sydney. He's in Sydney. So he screenshotted a picture the next day, bathing his young boy in his bathtub. So he's not even in Bali. So he's got me again. Luckily I was intoxicated and I couldn't go and embarrass myself again.
Mate,
I
that is
absolutely
great.
I think what I love about that story is that's not a post end season footy trip. That happened just not ago.
that's a month ago. So he's still harassing me, mate. But he's one of the funniest blokes I've ever met. And he was an integral part of that success in 2001. Just for that, just being for him being who he was.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Mate, the next question we got, we see a lot of strange rituals and superstitions these days with players. Back when you were playing, which player had the strangest ritual or superstition that you saw?
Oh, there was a few. I played with some weirdos, I tell you. Eddie Fallon's his ritual was he'd eat 2 burgers before a game, before he even run out on the field. So I don't know how he operated with 2 big beef burgers in his gut.
Yeah.
Alfie was a bit of a jitterer. He'd come around and he'd always have a vomit before the game, but he'd come around and vomit right next to you and just make you sick yourself. So he was a bit of a lunatic. Look, a few bloke, made sure they're actually Oli Lartini, he had these special underpants, and they were I don't even know if they were dick stickers. They were just they were the black underpant, but it had a big smiley face right at the front, right at his crutch. So he used to wear them all the time. So
Lucky undies.
lucky undies, yeah. So I think a few of the boys had funny sort of things they did. They either put the sock on the left foot at the I don't know, but yeah, look, there was a few lunatics.
Did you have any yourself?
No, mate. I just I didn't eat on the day of the game, which was one thing I didn't do. So it's probably not a good thing, but that was one thing I didn't do. I just made sure that my body felt clean and I was right to go. So that was probably it.
Yeah, lovely. The next question I had, and you told us one before, but tell us some stories about some of the great characters you played alongside.
Some of the great characters. Oh God, I play with so many clubs. I play with 6 clubs, so I play with so many great guys. When I first got to the Gold Coast, obviously the King was there, and we had the likes of Steve Jackson and Ray Herring and Paul Martin and Brent Todd, Peter Gill, and they were all older sort of statesmen of the game. We had a lot of old guys when I first got there, but they were great mentors to all of us, which was great, fantastic for a young kid coming to, and even Rowdy was there. Rowdy was from Serena, and he was married to my cousin, so he was a great friend as well. He used to take me up to Ipswich, where he was still living up there, and because I got a bit homesick. I got homesick a lot, but he used to take me every weekend just to see my cousin Delise, and we were pretty close. So yeah, but the great characters, mate. I think one of the great characters was probably. I played in the Broncos, and his name was Johnny Plath, and he was just such a good fella, mate. These are the days when we come back into the sheds in '98. They were still, the boys were still smoking in the sheds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was nothing about hydration or anything about anything like that. But the boys would have a bunger straight after the game, and we'd get beers straight into us after the game. What I loved about that time at the Broncos, the boys, we used to play cards all the time, and had Mick Hancock and Peter Ryan and Andrew G and Johnny Platt. So there was a foursome there. So I was always on the bench. So anytime someone wasn't there, I'd fill in. But we'd be drinking, having the boys would be bunging on before even the night before. We'd finish cards at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and we'd have a few beers under us. And mate, it was just a great time at the Broncos at that time. It was still old school, but it was just a really good time.
Yeah, mate, I love that.
What was it like? I mean, obviously, you were at the Broncos towards the back end of the '90s when it was more of a professional sport. But coming through from the Seagulls to which I can imagine what that was like, finishing. You went through the Super League war, and then you come out with the Warriors. So you've gone through that whole progression to it being a full-blown professional sport. What was it like? Was it different at the different clubs, or did you notice the change as you went along?
Yeah, look, I was fortunate, playing at the Seagulls for 4 years. We didn't have that much success, but I think Super League changed a lot. Bringing it sort of into a sort of semi but professional sort of atmosphere. I got the opportunity to go to St. George when they dismissed the court case against Super League in '96. So we started pre-season in '96, and then it sort of I went down to Adelaide, but then we lost the court case. I came back to the Gold Coast and got an opportunity to go to St. George. So I think that's where my football really started to move forward, because there was we were coached by David Wade, who was a very good coach, and I needed structure in my game, and I loved playing underneath him. I played under Grant Bell in '92, and he was like a David Wade. He'd been under him at Newcastle in the early '90s, late '80s, and but that was in '92. So it wasn't until '96 that I started getting coached again. So that '96 season, I really enjoyed it. But not only for that, but being also that I was at the great St. George Club and playing with some tremendous players like Chock Mundine and Wayne Bartram and Mark Coyne and Lash Goulet and just so many great players. Jeff Hardy, to name a few. So we had a really good season that year, but then I sort of stagnated a bit. Went back down to Adelaide. It wasn't probably the best year. The only sort of great thing that happened that year, I made the Queensland Super League side and was coach and that's right, and got the opportunity to play under Wayne and met Wayne. So, and that sort of kicked off our friendship.
Yeah. I just want to touch on. It's not a question I had in our questions to you before, but playing during that era. So like '97, the Knights won the comp, and then they won it again in 2001. I want to talk about a player like Joey Johns. What was it like coming up against a player like that? Was he just like, could you stop him? Was he able to be stopped?
Yeah, look, I was lucky enough to be playing in Brisbane at that time, so we had a pretty simple plan against Newcastle. They just used to throw these long cutouts, and our defence was pretty strong, like right across the field. So I think '98 we were minor premiers because of our defence, and 2000 we were minor premiers again because of our defence. But yeah, Newcastle sort of never used to worry us, to tell you the truth. Wayne just said, Wayne would just say, just let these boys throw the ball across, do the long cutouts and just hold your line, and they'll eventually just throw the ball out, and we'll just tackle them into touch or something like that. So, look, Joey Johns is a tremendous player. There's no doubt about that. But I still believe, Alfie Langer is the best player that most of us have played with. So, and you ask anyone in that Brisbane side, from 88 to 2001, who's the best player they played with? It would be Alf. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Mate, let's talk about finals. Now, you played in a few grand finals and played in a few final series. What was your favourite finals game, if you can narrow it down to one?
Yeah, they were all different, to tell you the truth. 96 was just we just got on this massive roll. I think we're 2 from 10 in the first 12 rounds, and then we were like 11 from 12 in the last 12 rounds. You know what I mean? So, mate, we just got on this massive roll, and we really enjoyed the journey. I guess we just had fun every week. We just didn't take it too seriously. 98 was different. I was playing in a star-studded team of just probably the best rugby league side that you'd ever want to be playing in. So I was very fortunate. 98 was 2000 was just, the 99 season wasn't a good season for us. We just scraped into the 8, and we got beaten by 50, I think, against Cronulla, who were first. And but 2000 was a rebuilding year for the Broncos. We basically built our whole game around our forward pack. We had some tremendous backs, don't get me wrong, but we were more a big, physical, brutal side. We had Petro, Webby, Phil Lee,
the Raging Bull. That stage?
The Raging Bull, Brad Thorne, and myself at lock.
Not a bad pack.
Yeah, but then you miss Tony Carroll's in who's a genuine lock. He's in the centres.
Wow.
Kevy and Benny Eichen, Lockie, Wendell, Lottie Takiri. It was just it wasn't the flash side of 98. We didn't have that Alfie Langer X factor, but we were very hard inside that year, and Wayne just drilled us the whole year. In 2002, I still believe, we had the side to win that competition. We had a Broncos sort of like team, with played with the great Alf Langer, but Stacey Jones definitely my top 3. And the forward back we had that year was good. And we played with some tremendous players like Ali Latiti and Owen Goodenbeal and Logan Swan. Those, and then you looked at Clinton Tupy, and we had Ivy Cleary at the back. Mate, we had a really good side, but we built that year with around our forward back as well. So yeah. It irks me today just thinking about that team and not winning a grand final with that team.
Yeah, of course. Look, I won't tell you, but I'm a mad Roosters fan, so I love that 2002. It was a great grand final. But no, look, there's some great ones there, mate. You played a few Origin games. Do you have a favourite Origin memory as well?
Oh, I think my first Origin, was very special. 2001, got called up from the Warriors to make my debut. It was special. It was just a culmination of hard work and persistence and basically dedication, mate. And I'm grateful that the Queensland selectors gave me the opportunity. So yeah, but it was very emotional. It was the last game at Lang Park, my first game. So I got to experience the old Lang Park, which was really special, and just running out with the whole of Queensland supporting you is just nothing that I can ever explain, to tell you the truth. And singing that national anthem on the field that night was very emotional.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, from Origin, we go into the international field, and you obviously played for Ireland. What was your favourite international game?
Well, probably the quarterfinal against England was probably my favourite. You know, it's a big build up. I don't think anyone expected Ireland to make the quarterfinals. We had a tremendous side. We had some great characters in that side too. You know, Terry O'Connor, Barry McDermott, those guys in the forwards, and just had some really good sharp backs as well. But yeah, I don't think anyone expected us to make that quarterfinals. We won all of our pool games, and then we got the opportunity to play England at Headingley, which was just a packed crowd, and it was a bit. It was like an Origin. It was built up for that. Obviously, the the bad blood between England and Ireland. So yeah, it was a great experience, and unfortunately we lost that particular day. But we did Ireland proud. I think we were the only team to make only Ireland side to ever make the quarterfinals of the World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely, very special. Going to hand it over to Craig now. He's got a few questions to finish off.
I've got to say, Kev, when Joey said he was doing this podcast with you, I was really keen to jump on. I loved watching you play. Just the toughness and the grit that you brought. Even as a New South Walesman, I actually enjoyed watching you play the Origin. There's not too many Queenslanders out there that I would say that about, but Tallis, Webke, and Alfie and yourself are certainly in the crew. So I was very keen to hop on tonight. But I love looking back at the career and like going from the Seagulls, and then you go to the Dragons and then have success there. But then from the Dragons go to Adelaide, which was not a rugby league town. And then from Adelaide to Brisbane for grand final success, and then to the Warriors and have a lot of success, as you say, unfortunately you didn't get the grand final win there. But then you got to finish back off back in Queensland.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. And I'm really, appreciative that that the Cowboys gave me that opportunity. I had the opportunity to go to England after the 2000 grand final. I'd signed with Warrington, but didn't go. And when my time was up at the Warriors, we were considering going back over to England. But it was just it was a bit of a sort of a homecoming. I'm from that area, played Foley Shield, knew the area well, and Townsville's just such a beautiful place. So yeah, look, we had a great 2 years there. We didn't make the finals the first year, but we certainly made a dent on in the finals in 2004. I think we were one off the grand final, to tell you the truth. I think the Roosters actually beat us to go into the grand final. So I think it was like 14-12 or something like that. It was close. It was very close. But yeah, it was just a great 2 years. It was a sort of a rebuilding of the club. I was taken up there just to add some starch to the squad, but also mentor a lot of the young kids coming through, which was great. And I had a wonderful time, and I met some great people and some, I went over to the Warriors in 2005 and coached, and one of my first signings was that I brought to the club was Michael Luck, and Lucky and I were roommates in 2003 and 2004, and I knew how tough the kid was, but he wouldn't leave Townsville because of the fact that Billy Johnson was there and he loved training under him. I said, mate, Billy's not going to be paying you bills for the rest of your life. You might as well come over here and try your trade over here. And thank goodness he woke up to himself and signed, and we brought him over, and he became one of the greats over in New Zealand.
Yeah, sure did. And comparing the game now, obviously the toughness that you come through and the business model it's at now, are you still a fan of the game? Are you still involved? Do you support a club?
Yeah, I am involved. I'm lucky enough to be Warriors ambassador over in Australia, so I do all their corporate stuff over here, which I love doing. And they take me back over to New Zealand a few times every year, and yeah, so I'm blessed to be still involved with the club, which a club that I really love. I only spent 2 years there, but I've got an affiliation with that club, and I'll do anything to help make it successful.
Well, they had a great year this year, and I think it's great for rugby league to see them to do well. And the ride they were on this year remind me of that 2002 Warriors, where everyone just sort of got behind it. If your team wasn't in the semis or they were knocked out, everyone was going for the Warriors, and that's sort of the feeling they've got now. So it's good to see for the game.
It is good for the game,
mate. Sorry, Kevin.
Yeah.
Is it up the Warriors for you or up the Wars?
Mate, I think it's generally up the Wars now. Yeah, it's everywhere. God, how good is it? What a catch cry. Yeah, but they're going. Look, the club is in a really good place at the moment, and they're still rebuilding. I know, the emphasis shouldn't be winning a grand final. That'll definitely come in the next few years. But the success we had this year is a good sign for years to come. But yeah, it's just a great club to be around, and they've got some really special people there, and some really special players that really love the club.
No, it's good. Hopefully they'll go further next year.
Yeah, but your question about the difference of the player today to the difference of the player of yesteryear. We were still smoking in the sheds, as I said, in '98. So, and drinking 4X Gold. So it's totally different. Like I do feel sorry for them. They're in a bit of a bubble where we weren't back then. You could get away and no one sort of really would come up to you and hassle you or anything like that. You could travel anywhere. But these days, these boys are rock stars, especially, look at that success that the Warriors have had. They're just bloody rock stars. So, I'd hate to be, and to his credit, like Shawnee Johnson is a rock star, but he's one of the nicest blokes who will do anything for anyone who comes up to him. He'll give them time, and I think everyone appreciates that.
Yeah, it's definitely a different time now, and I've heard a few of the players from the '90s say things like they're glad social media wasn't around back then.
Oh no! Wow. Yeah.
I still I saw it pop up on Facebook not long ago, actually. Brent Todd's signing with the Gold Coast in interview.
Shocking. Shocking. I mean, he'd be put in jail today. Actually, the NRL would have banned him.
Yeah.
Would ban him. So anyone said that on TV, they would ban him.
Rugby.
Contract ripped up straight away.
Absolutely.
Yeah, mate. I can't unsee a lot of the stuff I've seen, unfortunately.
Definitely a different time. Some of it for better, some of it for worse.
Yeah, mate, definitely. Oh, mate, we had some great fun. I'm sure the boys had fun these days, but it's a different fun,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you got any more, Craig?
No, that's it for me. Thank you.
Beautiful. Just to finish off, can you give us an early prediction for 2024?
Oh, look, mate, I just think there's not going to be much of a change in the top 8. There might be a bit of a change in the top 4.
Yeah.
I think the Warriors, will be successful again this year. I think Penrith will still be up there. They've got too many great players and, the great coach. And, I think the top 4 won't sort of change much, but yeah, there's not going to be much change in the top 8.
Yeah. I think the Chooks will be up there.
I don't know. It depends on how much Penrith want it, I guess, on how far they go. And, if they get a 4 beat, I'm not sure. But, look, they're just such a classy side with great players. And I think, I think the great thing they've got this year, I know Luai's signed with the West Tigers, but he's still got another year. So I think that'll be a driving force for the team as well to send him out with another ring.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Kevin, we want to thank you for your time today. That is all we have time for on the Ruck Infringement podcast. This episode will drop as you're listening. It's obviously up on Spotify. We just want to thank you so much for coming on. Craig as well, thank you for joining me, mate. Don't forget you can follow us on all our social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads, or LinkedIn as well for the professional in you. And you can find us wherever you listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you know the drill, Google Podcasts, all the others. So thank you again for listening. That's Craig, that's Kevin, I'm Joey. Be good.
Good on you, lads.